Hello everyone, my name is Alexander Thorns, but you can call me Sasha, and welcome to my attempt at a Pokémon Gold Mono Normal type Nuzlocke challenge using only Generation 2 Pokémons. Normal types have always been one of the most common types given to Pokémon, and usually they are mediocre, to say the least. Not to say that there aren't any powerhouses hidden in there. But I'm a person that likes to try things for myself, before giving my 2 cents of opinion, and admittedly, normal type is always at the bottom of my list, whenever I'm considering a monotype Nuzlocke, that is. And since I've been uploading videos consistently for the last 2 months, this gives me an opportunity to learn and show all of you guys my progress into using and learning every Pokémon in the franchise, so that one day, maybe, I can call myself a Pokémon master. To continue this massive journey I'm taking on YouTube, I decided to not only use a type I'm not comfortable with, but also play a game that I haven't nuzlocked much, Pokémon Gold. And to add a little more to this run, I'm only allowing normal types that were introduced in Generation 2 as viable encounters. And with 13 potential encounters, normal type maintains the title of most encounters, even with the restrictive rules that I'm using. But what the normal type has in the numbers, it loses on the dual typing department, because most normal types are either pure normal or part flying. However, this generation introduced a new dual normal type that I hope to use in this run. With that, these are the rules I'm using for this challenge, and as always, there's a more detailed rule set in the description, and I hope you guys enjoy, so let's just get to the run. Game starts and I immediately make a mistake. You see, I set the time to 3:45 in the morning, so that I started during the nighttime, because Hoot Hoot, a viable encounter, can only be found during the night. But Sentret is another viable encounter and can only be found during the morning, so with the time set at 3:45 I can technically catch a Hoot Hoot, then wait a few minutes until morning rolled around to catch a Sentret. The problem is, after giving the mystery egg to Professor Elm, I immediately received the Pokeballs, which was surprising to me because I thought I only acquired Pokeballs by purchasing them at Cherry Grove City. This is bad. Sentret can only be found at Route 29 during the morning or day. Hoot Hoot, however, is freaking everywhere at night, meaning I have to somehow pass through Route 29 to get to Cherry Grove without encountering a single Pokémon. And somehow I managed to do it at arriving at Cherry Grove City, where I can go north onto Route 30 and catch my first encounter, a Hoot Hoot, my official starter. With this owl in my hand, I need to waste around 6 minutes until the morning, so I make my way onto the Dark Cave to find the dunce, which I found unusually fast, and catch it. This guy will help a lot during the early game, and now the morning has rolled around, so I can backtrack to Route 29 and catch a Sentret, giving me a team of 3 Pokémon, and after reaching Violet City and dealing with the trainers at the Bellsprout Tower, I can challenge the first gym leader, Falkner, the flying type specialist. And the battle starts off well with Hoot Hoot vs PJ, and my round owl connects a critical hit tackle to start the battle, taking another tackle in return. Then my Hoot Hoot misses his move and takes another tackle. But the miss must have annoyed him, because tackle crits again, defeating the PJ. And sending in Pidgeotto, Falkner's last Pokémon, that Hoot Hoot sends a growl at to reduce its damage output, but takes a gust in return, leaving my owl at 11 HP. So I switch in Dunsparce and click Rage, a move that gets more powerful the more damage Dunsparce take. And after 3 gusts that deals very little damage, Rage has built up enough power to defeat the Pidgeot, getting me my first badge. With the first badge in hand, I get a call from Professor Elm to collect the mystery egg at the Poké Center, which I immediately hatch to find my new encounter, a Togepi. Now I need to make my way down south until I reach the Union Cave, where Dunsparce saves my ass against the rock types with Mud Slap, otherwise this would have been very hard to pass through. I arrive at Azalea Town, location of the second badge, but before I can even theorycraft around it, I need to speak with the Pokeball Craft Master Kurt to learn that Team Rocket is down at the Slowpoke well and I team up with him to stop them. This ended up being a very close call as I end the altercation with Dunsparce at 5 HP and poison, but Kurt actually does something useful here as he heals my Pokemons. Next is time for me to challenge Bugsy, the bug type expert that has a very scary Scyther on her team, so I level up my team, evolving Sentret into Furret in the process, and I take on the challenge. She leads Metapod and I lead Hoot Hoot and peck at it until Metapod faints, taking only one tackle in return. This brings in Kakuna, and after missing an Hypnosis, Hoot Hoot connects 2 Growls to reduce its attack and switch Dunsparce in, to apply my plan of stacking Rage up until Scyther arrives. So with Kakuna at -2 attack, it deals a lot less damage with Poison Sting, and after setting up one defense curl I can start spamming Rage. That gets increased in damage every time Poison Sting connects, and the eventuality that Dunsparce is poisoned, she is holding a Poison Cure Berry to instantly remove the poison, which ends up happening just before Kakuna falls, bringing Scyther into the battle, but with Dunsparce completely stacked, 2 Rages defeat the Blading Mantis, only taking a very weak quick attack and a Leer in return, giving me my second badge. Right after Bugsy, I get one step closer to getting another encounter, but before that I need to face my rival at the entrance of Ilex Forest. He leads with a Ghastly and I shoot Hoot Hoot and click Hypnosis to put the ghost to sleep, having a trade-off as Ghastly misses his Hypnosis and my Hoot Hoot connects. This allows me to switch to Dunsparce and fire 2 Mud Slaps to defeat the Ghastly, getting a crit on the second one. Next is Zubat, and this is a difficult situation, but the plan is to use Rage stacks again to defeat Bayleaf, but Zubat really likes to confuse my Pokemon, but I still stay in and click Glare to paralyze the bat as he connects with a weak bite. This leaves Zubat open to start raging, but a Supersonic stops my plan. Or does it? I press on, having all the trust in this little Duns, and my trust is well received as Dunsparce goes through confusion every turn, always connecting a Rage and getting stronger thanks to Zubat's bite, until Zubat eventually drops and Bayleaf comes in, but it is the same situation as Scyther, with Dunsparce being fully stacked and taking Bayleaf down with 2 Rages, only taking 2 Razor Leafs in return. Next I can access the Ilex Forest and complete the Farfetch'd puzzle to receive the HM4 cut. With this I can make my way deeper into the forest until I find this green hair dude that gives me the TM4 headbutt. This move is a great power boost for my team, but also allows my Dunsparce to headbutt small trees and encounter Pokemon. So I make my way back onto Route 29 where I can find and catch a Napalm, a Pokemon that I have actually never used in a Nuzlocke situation, and the same goes for his evolution, by the way. Anyway, now I can reach Goldenrod City and head into the department store to collect more Headbutt TMs and some other useful moves to power up Sentret and Napalm. All that's left to do is defeat all the optional trainers, evolving Hoot Hoot into a Noctowl in the process, and challenge the 3rd gym leader Whitney, another fellow normal type specialist that is commonly known as a run killer in the 2nd generation games. However, I have nothing to fear because I have something of a plan, and the only way to see if it works is by challenging Whitney for a battle. She leads Clefairy and I lead Apom, taking the future fairy down with 2 headbutts, taking a weak double slap in return. This brings in the menace Miltank, and before Apom tips out, it connects 2 sand attacks to lower the cause accuracy, dodging 1 rollout and 2 stomps in the process, which means Apom can use Baton Pass to safely bring in Dunsparce. And even though that was all part of the plan, what happened next certainly wasn't. Because Dunsparce gets flinched twice by Stomp, and to put a cherry on top, the second one was a crit, leaving my Dunsparce at 10 HP and forcing me to switch to my Noctowl. But apparently the accuracy drops were imaginary, because Miltank connects another Stomp on the switch, no crit this time, and thankfully misses an attract, and Noctowl connects with an Hypnosis, putting the Raging out to sleep. Now I bring Furret in and I am able to connect 3 headbutts, putting Miltank in a red, but she wakes up and goes for a Milkshring, restoring some health back. Furret is determined as he connects 2 more headbutts after taking a stomp and finishes off the match with a quick attack. After Whitney stops crying, I can get my 3rd badge. With a new gym badge in the bag, I can collect the squirt bottle to spray the blocking Sudowoodo and proceed to Ecruteak City. Before reaching Ecruteak, I get another encounter to add to the roster as a Stantler appears and I catch him. Then I go to the left of Ecruteak City right before Olivine City at Route 29, where I can encounter a milk tank that I managed to catch after it depleted my Great Balls. And right before, at Route 38, I can find the 1% encounter Snubble, and this took me a while, but I got it. Now I need to face every trainer and gather some useful items for my next challenge, the 4th gym. I also swapped my team around, depositing Forward and getting Snubble out, which during the preparations evolves into a Gramble, a very strong 120 base attack stat Pokémon. With everything ready, I head on to the 4th gym and challenge Morty, the Ghost type expert, a type that I am immune against, but normal type moves also don't deal any damage to Ghost types. However, I got some options to work with, so I head into battle. Morty sends out a Ghastly, and I send out Noctowl, clicking Hypnosis that actually connects, and Ghastly stays asleep for 2 turns, falling to 2 packs. This strategy also works on the incoming Haunter, as Hypnosis connects and 3 packs put it to a permanent sleep. Next in comes Gengar, and I try to go for the same move combo but get outspeed and put to sleep by Gengar's Hypnosis. I keep clicking Hypnosis to see if Noctowl wakes up, as Remeter is doing less than a third, so Noctowl should take 3, I just need it to wake up in the meantime, which doesn't happen as my Owl stays asleep for 2 turns and Remeter crits on the 3rd turn, knocking my Noctowl out. This is extremely frustrating. But I have a plan, switching to Dunsparce and fat fingering the move by clicking Headbutt by mistake, which doesn't affect Gengar, but he misses the Hypnosis, so I go unpunished. Next I actually click the correct move, this one being Dig, as Gengar misses another Hypnosis. Dig deals around 50% of Gengar's health and Hypnosis connect, but a held Mint Berry wakes up Dunsparce as she digs once again, giving me the KOs next turn. The second Haunter is Morty's final Pokémon, and I actually get into a funny situation, as after a mean look, Haunter uses Mimic, so Dunsparce is using Dig, and Haunter is also using Dig, but in the end Dunsparce comes out on top with 90% health remaining. Then I get my 4th badge, but with a heavy heart, as I need to deposit Noctowl and get Miltank onto the team before moving on. The next challenge of this Nuzlocke is a very tough one, because next I need to get to Cyanwood City and face Shuck, the fighting type expert. And fighting is the only type that is super effective against normals. But I have a plan that it's going to force me to go a little bit ahead, but it's the only way I can see. With my 4th badge acquired, I can use Surf outside of battle. This means I can go right of Ecruteak City and surf my way onto Mahogany Town, where I can go north and at Route 33 find a Girafarig, a part psychic type that is the key to defeating Shuck. And to be honest, there is nothing left to do unless surf from Olivine to Cyanwood City and face the gym. We engage in battle and Shuck sends out his Primeape against my Aipom. I connect my first sand attack as Primeape fires a Leer. Next turn I get another sand attack in and Aipom takes a big karate chop that defeats my monkey. My plan was to use Baton Pass, but that was me banking on a miss. Now I get Girafarig in, and with Primeape at -2 accuracy, we should survive this, but my new Giraffe delivers a performance of a lifetime, as the first confusion deals around 70% damage and confuses Primeape, so he hurts himself in confusion, getting KO'd in the next turn. Poliwrath comes in and I switch to Dunsparce on a failed Hypnosis. Next, Dunsparce dodges a Dynamic Punch and connects a Glare, paralyzing the Big Frog. This means it's time to put my plan B in action, as with Headbutt I can apply the Para-Flinch strategy. The Spirit Drop from Paralysis allows Dunsparce to always outspeed and connect with a Headbutt for a chance to flinch or a full para. And the plan works perfectly, as Poliwrath gets fully paralyzed, misses and flinches while taking 4 Headbutts for the KO. Aipom was a tough sacrifice, but I managed to get the badge. As for my 6th badge, in Johto I usually do a little switcheroo, because I challenge Price before Jasmine, since his level cap is actually lower than Jasmine's is. So I head on to Mahogany Town and start making the path into the Lake of Rage, where I catch the shiny Gyarados, because you know, a shiny is a shiny. And after witnessing first degree murder, I go with the murderer lance into the Team Rocket's hideout and proceed to defeat everyone in there to acquire the 2 passwords so I can face the admin to get another password to open the final gate. And after an easy battle, I can defeat the electrodes with Dunsparce just digging as they explode, and then I can face Price, the ice type expert, and my 6th gym challenge. To lead the charge, I send in Dunsparce against Seal, and the first turn Dunsparce connects a glare and dodges an icy wind, leaving Seal paralyzed. With the status inflicted, I can commence the para-flinch strategy and defeat Seal with 2 headbutts, taking another headbutt in return. In comes Dugong, and I go for the same strategy, but this time get punished with an Aurora Beam. As Glare connects, the strategy works as the next 2 headbutts flinch Dugong, but the damage inflicted is very low, as on the 3rd headbutt Dugong remains at 40% HP remaining and connects a massive crit Aurora Beam that leaves Dunsparce at the 3rd. But the strategy pulls it off in the end, as the next headbutt flinches, giving me the KO next turn. And here it is, Price's Ace, Piloswine. I swap for Miltank, my tankiest partner, but she comes in on a blizzard that leaves my cow frozen in place. This forces me to swap again, this time into Gramble, taking a weak Icy Wind on the switch. Next turn I go for a headbutt, but Piloswine outspeeds and lands a massive blizzard, leaving my Bulldog at 20%, and the incoming headbutt leaves Piloswine at nearly 50%. Now I need to swap again and make a very difficult decision. Blizzard is doing a lot of damage to my party. So in order for me to have a chance at winning, either Blizzard needs to miss or someone needs to go down, so I can get a safe switch in. I swapped for the Pokémon that helped a lot until this moment, but in the end is starting to fall off, Dunsparce, and Blizzard doesn't miss fating my partner. This is a tough moment, but I need to capitalize on the sacrifice and send in Stantler that connects an hypnosis, putting the Ice Pork to sleep, and it stays asleep even through being healed to fall to 4 stomps from my reindeer. That's my 6th badge and another member to put to rest. Dunsparce actually surprised me in the early game, being invaluable in many fights, but in the end his stats caught up to him as Piloswine proved to be too strong for my team. So long, partner. Next up is Jasmine, and since there is nothing else to do, I get the preparations for the battle, with Togepi evolving into a Togetic along the way, and while theory crafting on the best strategy to take Jasmine on and her steel types, I end up finding through trial and error that Girafarig has the fire type hidden power. This is the solution I needed for the next challenge. With everything ready, I head into facing Jasmine and lead Girafarig against Magnemite that gets outspeed and deleted by a hidden power fire, a fate shared with a second Magnemite. And now Steelix comes in and it actually survived the first hidden power but missed the Iron Tail, allowing for an easy KO next turn with another hidden power fire. This is why I love Nuzlocke, because you never know what the solution for the next problem is going to be. And you gotta check all the possibilities during theory craft. With that being said, Girafarig having hidden power fire was a very lucky strike. Now I can leave the gym with my 7th badge in hand, and I get a call from Professor Elm saying that Team Rocket has hijacked the radio tower in Goldenrod City. And who better to defeat the Mafia than a 10-year-old with a pocket full of farm animals. But their prayers were all well placed, because at this point of the game my Pokémon are somewhat overleveled, so I can easily climb the radio tower to find out where the radio director is. Then I need to go to the secret basement to find that radio director that gives me a card key in return for saving him. This means I can go back to the radio tower and defeat another Team Rocket admin and save the day. After all that boring lore stuff, I get moving to the next challenge. This means I need to transverse the ice path to arrive at Blackrock City, the location of the last Johto gym. But before facing the Dragon Tamer, I can actually get a new team member south of Blackrock City, as I can find and catch a Teddy Ursa, which during preparations evolves into the monstrous Ursaring, another beast with an absurd attack stat. Now I can face Claire and her Dragon types, having Ursaring go against the first Dragonair, and we start off well, because Dragonair fails a Thunder Wave, with Ursaring dropping its defense with a Leer. Now my bear can connect the Slash for a one-shot, taking a very weak Surf in return. A second Dragonair comes in and I go for the same strategy, however this time Thunder Wave connects, paralyzing my bear. As Leer connects, this Dragonair manages to land the Thunderbolt before it too falls to a single Slash. Claire's third Dragonair comes in next, and if it ain't broke don't fix it, so I apply the same strategy, this time taking an Ice Beam that leaves Ursaring at 30% before Leer connects, but I believe Ursaring can take another one, so I risk the crit and go unpunished as Ursaring survives on 8 HP and delivers another one shot with Slash. After the Dragonair roulette, a different dragon type shows up as Kingdra takes the field, and to be honest, I don't really have a plan against this demon, so while coming up with one, I swap Togetic in to soak up the Surf, which ends up dealing close to 50% damage. But I need to risk it and click Sweet Kiss to confuse Kingdra, which luckily just goes for a smokescreen. Now with Kingdra confused, I click Encore and start praying, which is answered as Kingdra hurts herself in confusion, and Encore misses. Next turn I go for a Charm to reduce the damage of future Hyper Beams, but miss as Kingdra once again hurts herself. That miss actually kind of annoyed me, so I click it again, this time connecting, but Kingdra goes through confusion and lands a powerful Dragon Breath, leaving my Togetic at 20% before a Hell Berry deals some damage back up. Now I need to swap in another tank, which is Miltank, that takes 50% damage from a Surf, but this cow is very speedy and next turn it can outspeed and get to full health with a Miltank, as Kingdra misses a smokescreen. This means my cow is free to start stomping away, which seemed like a perfect strategy because Miltank could deal any incoming damage. But this plan gets a brutal reality check as Stomp looks like a 3-hit KO as Kingdra connects a Surf next turn, dealing less than 50% and giving me a chance for another Stomp that Kingdra barely survives and connects a smokescreen. I got an opening and knowing Claire will probably heal up, I do the same with Miltank, basically resetting the battle. Now I have to slug it out once more with Stomp and Miltank against Kingdra's Surf, a plan that seemed to be working until Kingdra lands a crit Surf, sending my cow to the slaughterhouse. That's what I get for not playing around the crit, like Papa Flygon on HG always says. Jokes aside, this is a big loss as Miltank was on my intended final team, but crits are part of the game, so I just need to live with it. This however gives me a safe switch in for Granbull that defeats Kingdra with 2 headbutts after taking a big Surf and a useless smokescreen. Claire however isn't yet satisfied and forces me to find the Dragon Scale before giving me my 8th badge. With the final gym badge I can challenge the Johto Elite Four, which I can reach by going back into New Bark Town and proceeding right to reach the Tojo Falls and arrive at the Kanto region. That I will also have to defeat, but for now let's focus my gaze on the Indigo Plateau. A place I can reach after going through Victory Road, where my rival challenges me for a final battle, but my Pokémon are still so overleveled compared to him that Girafarig just deletes his entire team alone, with Psybeam and adding in Power Fire. In my opinion, this is a very real problem in the second generation games, because if I keep up with the gym leader levels, my Pokémon get too overleveled compared to random trainers, or the rival, which trivializes exploration, since it removes the danger of a strong random trainer, which is one of the reasons why I don't do too many Generation 2 Nuzlockes. But for this channel, I'll make an effort. After humiliating my rival, I can arrive at the Pokémon League and get the preparations done for the Elite Four, grabbing Furret back from the box, and since my only possible encounters remaining will be a Smeargle at the Ruins of Alph, I don't really like Smeargle to be honest, and I don't have the time to deal with this gimmick to get a good moveset. So with only these 6 remaining, I head into battle. The first battle is against Will, the Psychic Expert. That leads with a Xatu, and I lead Girafarig, immediately going for a Stomp to fish out a flinch, but getting some good damage in and taking a good Psychic in return. 2 more Stomps bring the Psychic burn down as it connects another Psychic, leaving my Giraffe at 50% but victorious. Next in comes Jinx, and Girafarig just keeps stomping away, dealing a massive damage to Jinx, which retaliates with a big Ice Punch, leaving my partner at 2 HP remaining. Thankfully, I know this is a guaranteed outspeed, so Girafarig can finish the censored Pokémon and finish it with another Stomp. In comes a big problem, Executor, and I swap Furret in to scout whatever this coconut tree is going to do, ending up dealing very low damage with Egg Bomb against my furry friend. This means Furret can safely go for an Ice Punch that only deals around 35% but freezes the tree, giving this little guy a very easy knockout. Slowbro takes the field and I swap Togetic in, because I want to see if I can encore this Hippo into Amnesia. However, in the switch Slowbro opts for Curse, which is very scary, but I try to dampen the situation by clicking Sweet Kiss that connects and confuses Slowbro, resulting in this guy hurting himself next turn, and I misclick and went for a Sweet Kiss again. To which Slowbro goes through confusion to set up another curse. This is bad, so I swap into Stantler to try and salvage the situation, and Stantler comes through, taking a strong Psychic in the switch, leaving it barely above 50% after healing with a berry. Then Stantler can clutch it out when Hypnosis connects, putting my problem to sleep, allowing for Stantler to connect with 2 Leers, which bring its defenses back to neutral. So I can pivot out into Gramble that defeats Slowbro with 2 Shadow Balls, Slowbro waking up after the first one, but connecting a good chunk from Psychic before falling to the second one. Lastly, for Will is his second Xatu, that after connecting with a Confuse Ray, which gets immediately cured by a Hellbeater Berry, Xatu falls to a single Shadow Ball, giving me my first Elite Four win. The former Kanto gym leader is next, Koga, and with him mostly using poison types, Girafarig is the obvious choice for the lead. My Giraffe's first opponent, it's Ariados, and a single Psybeam defeats the Spider. Then Fortress comes in, and Hidden Power Fire gives me an easy answer against this wall, destroying it with 1 hit. Venomoth is next, and it manages to survive the first Psybeam, connecting a Toxic, putting a timer on my Girafarig, but falls to a second Psybeam. Crobat takes the field, and this speedy bat goes for a double team before taking a big chunk from Psybeam. Koga then heals, which was to no avail, as Girafarig can ignore the double team and defeat Crobat with 2 more Psybeams, taking a fairly weak wing attack in the process. Muk is Koga's final team member, and because Toxic has been ticking for a while now, I need to swap for Ursaring to save Girafarig, taking a moderate Sludge Bomb on the switch for 35% of my bear's health, but the newly learned super effective Earthquake destroys the pile of sludge, sending it back into the sewers, giving me my second Elite Four victory. Next is Bruno, and I've been dreading this guy because he specializes in fighting types, the only super effective type against my team of normals, with only Girafarig and Togetic getting neutral damage. But I head into battle sending Girafarig against Bruno's lead Hitmontop, that on the first turn can outspeed and connect a big Psybeam before Hitmontop buries himself on the ground. This gives me a free switch into Togetic, which is immune to ground moves, and with this switch Hitmontop swaps for Quick Attack that deals very low damage, as Togetic can decrease the damage even more with a Charm, dropping Hitmontop's attack by 2 stages. And now I connect with an Encore, forcing Hitmontop to keep using Quick Attack, and this is important because Togetic's only way to deal damage is Fly, and Hitmontop carries Detect that it can use on the turn Fly deals damage. But with the Encore effect it can only use Quick Attack, so I can click Fly without the threat of Detect and bring it down. Onix is next, and because this Rocky Snake has a terrible attack stat, I decide to stay in and click Charm once again, taking around 25% from a Rock Slide before connecting. With Onix at -2 attack, I can safely take another Rock Slide before connecting a Sweet Kiss, confusing the snake. Now at -2 and Confuse, I can relatively safely bring in Girafarig on a very weak Rock Slide, and Girafarig capitalizes on this opportunity to connect a critical hit Psybeam for the KO. Bruno's Ace Machamp is out, and this guy is a problem because Cross Chop can take down most of my team, which means I can switch out, so all I can do is hope that Girafarig can take at least one, so I click Psybeam, outspeed, dealing a lot of damage, and Psybeam confuses the forearm, prompting it to hurt himself in the confusion. This is a golden opportunity because now Bruno heals up, and that heal gives me 2 more outspeeds with Psybeam for the KO, defeating this monster without any casualties, thankfully. Hitmonlee is next, and 2 Psybeams deal with it, only landing a weak double kick in the process that leaves my giraffe at 50%. Bringing in Hitmonchan that survives the Psybeam after dealing a good chunk with Mach Punch. And because my Girafarig has been a beast these last 2 battles, I have trust in it as it takes another Max Punch, luckily no crit, and defeats Hitmonchan and Bruno with another Psybeam, opening the way for me to face Karen, the Dark User. It's Ursaring vs Umbreon to kick things off, and my favorite evolution proves to be as annoying as ever, since after connecting a sand attack and taking a slash, my Ursaring misses the next slash and takes a Confuse Ray. This is getting annoying, so now I swap for my Stantler and try to outcheese the cat, but Umbreon's cheese is too much for my reindeer as it takes a sand attack on the switch and misses an Hypnosis the next turn, taking another sand attack. Now I'm getting pissed and I go on the offensive, clicking Stomp that leaves Umbreon in the red, but Stantler gets tagged with a Minlook. This leads into Stantler missing and getting confused by a Confuse Ray, but since I can't switch, I need to believe in Stantler and just spam Stomp. After one miss and a Confusion self-hit, Umbreon goes down without dealing any damage back. Vileplume is next, and I swap for Girafaring, getting paralyzed by a Stun Spore upon entering. But I clicked Psybeam anyways, connecting after a Petal Dance that dealt around 30%, leaving Vileplume at 25% HP remaining. This means Vileplume is stuck using Petal Dance, so I switch to my Togetic, the obvious answer as it resists its grass and is my special tank. On the switch I get proven correct as Petal Dance deals around 10%, so a simple fly can pluck the flower. Gengar is next, and after swapping a Curse for a Sweet Kiss I can swap into Gramble that comes in on a freaking Destiny Bond. Calm down, Karen. So I'm forced to swap again, this time into Girafarig, with Gengar hurting himself in confusion on the switch. This should give me an easy KO, but Gengar decides to give me a hand and go for a Curse again, defeating herself in the process. Now Murkrow comes in, and because my Giraffe is cursed, I swap for Stantler, missing an Hypnosis and taking 2 Feint attacks in return, putting my deer at 27 HP remaining. So I'm forced to swap again, this time into Furret that takes a Feint attack but is carrying Ice Punch, so 2 of those defeat the Crow, taking another Feint attack in the process. Houndoom is Karen's last Pokemon and I don't have anyone on my team that can take a Flamethrower, so I stay in. Furret has one way out of this battle alive, by getting a flinch on an headbutt. And although this headbutt deals almost 50% damage, there is no flinch and Furret falls to a Flamethrower, sending my oldest team member into an internal sleep. With another fallen team member, I get Ursaring in, and with a Quick Claw proc, it can outspeed and defeat the dog with an Earthquake. This gives me the victory over the last Elite Four member. This means I can face Lance, the Johto and Kanto League champion. The battle starts and it's Ursaring vs Gyarados, and I start off really well, misclicking an Earthquake that Gyarados is immune to, but it only goes for a Rain Dance next turn, so I go for a Slash for a big chunk and Gyarados misses the Hyper Beam, meaning my mistake goes unpunished, because a Quick Claw proc Slash defeats the Sea Serpent. Lance's first Dragonite is next, and after missing a Thunder Wave, it goes down to an Ice Punch. Ironically, this happens again against Lance's second Dragonite. This is one lucky bear. Aerodactyl is next, and I swap for my Togetic, my tank, to take a Hyper Beam for around 40% on the switch and connect a Sweet Kiss to confuse this fossil. This turns out to be the right move, as Aerodactyl hurts himself in confusion and gets his attack dropped by a Shard. Next turn it connects a very weak Rock Slide but no flinch, as its attack gets dropped even more by another Shard. Now Aerodactyl is at -4 attack, but Togetic has no way to actually deal any damage to it, so I swap it to Granbull, taking a very weak Rock Slide on the switch. This means Granbull is free to fire a Shadow Ball after Aerodactyl hits himself in confusion again. The fossil survives on the red, but a weak Hyper Beam can't stop the inevitable, as another Shadow Ball finishes it off. Charizard takes the field and a Quick Claw proc headbutt flinches it on the first turn, meaning after a Flamethrower, Granbull can defeat Charizard with another headbutt. Lance's ace and final Dragonite comes in, and I swap to Stantler, taking a very strong Hyper Beam for almost 70%, but the recharge turn allows me to connect with a Confuse Ray, this being my only win conditions. Yes, an Hypnosis connect would be great, but I take it as a bigger risk than Confusion Self-Hit, since Hypnosis accuracy is top garbage. After connecting, I can swap into Ursaring and Dragonite hurts himself on the switch, allowing for an Ice Punch to take the KO because for some reason Lance chose Safeguard to be his last move on this battle, as Dragonite snaps out of confusion. That was brutal. A lot, and I mean a lot of luck went into me winning this battle, but considering how much blood has been shed in this challenge, I'll take the luck any day. However, the league victory does not mean the end for my Johto journey, as there exists an even more powerful trainer, but to face him I need to talk to Professor Elm. That gives me a Master Bot, but most importantly a ticket for me to take a boat ride to Vermilion City in the Kanto region. I'll have to defeat all 8 Kanto gym leaders before facing this final trainer. Kanto also opens up the opportunity for a better team, as in the Celadon department store I can buy as much hidden powers as I seem fit, and I can also get a new encounter. This encounter costs a lot of money, but since I haven't spent that much and got some TMs that I haven't used, I can sell everything and get closer to my goal of acquiring 9,999 Game Corner coins to purchase a Porygon. This Porygon can be traded while holding an upgrade that I can get at a Sylph company, and it evolves into a Porygon to a Pokémon that I have never used and is also my last encounter for this run. Yes, I know that Blissey is available, but I have no use for it, so if a team member falls, I'll catch it, otherwise this is my final team. Then it's Hidden Power testing time, and I find out my Porygon 2 had Hidden Power Electric. I would rather it have Ice, but you know, beggars can't be choosers. Ursaring has Hidden Power Fighting, and Gramble has Hidden Power Rock, which both will keep because their movesets are disgusting this generation, so I'll take whatever I can get. Now, the way I usually go about Kanto in the Generation 2 games is I take care of opening all the fly locations and then deal with the gym leaders in order. If I have enough Pokémons on the box to make a new team, I'll follow the level cap order, but in this run I don't have any other available team members, so my team being already in its 50s, every single gym was a breeze. So after getting the missing radio part and retrieve it to its rightful owner, I get the Poke Radio upgrade, which allows me to wake up the Snorlax and visit the blocked part of Kanto. This means I can face Brock with Ursaring, easily defeating it, Misty gets destroyed by Porygon 2 and Gramble finishes off her Starmie, Lieutenant Surge gets obliterated by Ursaring and Earthquake, and Erika gets a taste of my Girafarig's Hidden Power Fire and Psychic. With that I have 12 badges. Next comes the saddest gym leader ever, because Janine's strongest Pokémon is level 39. Why in the actual fuck? She's basically a random raw trainer at this point. Her level cap is lower than the 8th Johto gym leader, so Porygon 2 deals with her with Psybeam. Sabrina doesn't get much luck either, as Granbull can cast a Shadow Ball at her team and spook them. Blaine gets on the same train as the rest of the gym leaders, as Granbull can use Hidden Power Rock to clean up his team. 15 badges down, but the final one won't be as easy. Gym Leader Blue is the strongest gym leader in this game, with Pokémon and a team being at a higher level and better than the former champions team. But I go forth to battle, leading Gramble against Pidgeot, and Hidden Power Rock actually comes in handy this battle, as 2 take the Big Bird down, only connecting 2 weak wing attacks. Alakazam is next, and a lucky Quick Claw proc allows Gramble to outspeed and defeat it with a Shadow Ball, not even getting a chance to move. Raiden comes in, and I got no reason to swap Pokémon, so I just click the neutral Shadow Ball, getting a crit for around 50% and Raiden retaliating with a very weak 2-hit Fury attack. The next Shadow Ball gets greeted with a Sandstorm, and a Quick Claw proc defeats Raiden the next turn, outspeeding it with another Shadow Ball. Gyarados is brought in, and I swap for Porygon 2, hoping for a Rain Dance, but Gyarados instead goes for a weak Hydro Pump. Porygon 2 can take advantage of this by firing an Hidden Power Electric next turn to fire off the Serpent without any retaliation, as Gyarados now go for a Rain Dance. Executor comes into the field, and I swap for Togetic to resist whatever it can throw at me, but I did not expect a Leech Seed, gotta be honest. So I swap out again, this time into Girafarig to shake off the seeding, and after taking an Egg Bomb I can connect with a Crunch, that is a special move in this generation, for a good chunk, defeating Executor next turn with another Crunch after a second Egg Bomb. Arcanine is Blue's final Pokémon, and like the Avatar, the rain stops when I needed it the most. But I gotta swap Giraffing out to keep it safe and send in Togetic on an extreme speed. This doesn't deal much damage and Togetic can connect a Toxic followed by a Protect to get his job done. Now I can swap in Stantler to soak up a Flamethrower and deal another tick of poison damage to switch again, this time into Ursaring that takes the Flamethrower above 50%, being able to survive another one, taking Arcanine down with an Earthquake after all the damage built up from Toxic. This gives me my 16th badge. With all the badges collected, I can show it to Professor Oak as he gives me permission to go into Mount Silver, where after a rough climb I can find Pokémon Trainer Red, former Kanto League champion, and my final opponent in his quest to conquer Johto and Kanto. Battle starts and he leads the Pikachu and I send out Ursaring, defeating the Electric Mouse with one Earthquake even after getting my attack drop by a Charm. In comes Espeon and I switch to Gramble to reset the attack drop. Espeon goes for an annoying Reflect on the switch that allows it to survive a Shadow Ball after connecting with a Psychic, but Gramble survives a second Psychic and goes for the KO. This brings in Snorlax and my plan to deal with this wall is Togetic that can come in a Body Slam, then connect a Toxic, taking a second Body Slam that leaves him at 30% HP. But a combination of Protect, Sweet Kiss, Fly and Leftovers slowly whittle Snorlax down until it falls to Toxic damage right after Togetic flies up in the air. This means when Blastoise comes in, Togetic can dodge a Blizzard by still being airborne and land a weak Fly for some cheap damage. Next, I place my faith in Togetic being able to survive a Blizzard and connect another Toxic, but I don't get that lucky as my little baby falls to a Blizzard ending his story. I can't let my Togetic sacrifice be in vain, so I get Porygon 2 in for the revenge so it can fire a Hidden Power Electric for super effective damage and deal around 70% after Blastoise sets up a Rain Dance. Next turn, Porygon 2 takes a powerful Rain Boosted Surf for 50% damage and Blastoise goes down to another Hidden Power Electric. This prompts Venusaur to take the final stage and I go for Recover on a weak Giga Drain, putting Porygon 2 at 75% HP. Next turn it connects with a Psybeam for a good chunk and Venusaur sets up the Sun, which means its Solar Beam just became a one-turn nuke. But I need to stay in and take a Solar Beam to land another Psybeam, leaving Venusaur with a Slither of health. Now I'm forced to switch into Giraffing, taking a lot of damage from a Solar Beam, but I know my Giraffe is faster and can outspeed and KO Venusaur next turn with a Psychic. Last for red is Charizard, and with the sunlight being up, nothing in my team can take a Sun Booster Flamethrower and retaliate, since my fastest Pokémon is Giraffing that is on the field. This means I need a safe switch if I want to win, but unless Giraffing gets a crit, there's no way she's leaving this battle standing. Next turn, Psychic deals over 50%, but Flamethrower knocks my Giraffe down. My MVP has fallen, but has also granted me the victory, as Ursaring can safely come in on the turn that the sunlight fades and dodge a Fire Spin to get a KO with a Trash. And I have beaten the Pokémon Trainer Red and completed my Mono Normal type Nuzlocke challenge on Pokémon Gold using only Generation 2 Pokémons. This was a lot harder than I expected with 7 fallen team members along the way, but with luck on my side I managed the victory. The title of MVP, on my opinion, goes for Giraffing and Ursaring being key team members ever since they joined, and although I have to admit, Gramble and Porygon 2 are very close behind. But if I'm being honest, every Pokémon was fun to use. And that's the video, a very simple challenge for me to give it to you guys. Remember to subscribe and comment for more. Please never stop being yourselves and peace.